stories.
No, there wasn't much there.
There's nothing there,
I was
really?
very, I was a, no, I was a very churchy type boy growing up.
True. True.
Yeah,
Well, I tell you what, I did
you're
not
right.
pick
So
that. I thought you would have been a bit of a wild tiger.
no, I started drinking really heavily in the last maybe 15 years. So I
Right.
was a late bloomer in the drinking side. So going to a friend's party, waking up on their trampoline covered in vomit. So I had years to catch up
Sorry,
on. So
I nearly lost my beans then.
but now I'm in a bit of a better headspace. I think it was just more of I had a bit of a phase, and like you said, I still enjoy a drink, but lately I haven't. I don't need to. I used to like currently at work the last couple of weeks. The pressure is a little bit there,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
I'd come home and have a couple of gin and tonics and whatever. But there's nothing. There's no
yeah.
need for it. I can enjoy the drink and I love it, but when I'm going through that stressful stuff now, my mindset now is I'm able to push through it. So
Well, dude, let's save that for the chat because I think that's a really
yeah,
really cool kind of reflection that you've actually got going on there. So, to anyone that's
yeah.
coming on to watch this one live, welcome. I hope you guys are having a beautiful start to the morning. And yes, this is my boy, Mr. Shaun Douras, coming on to the podcast for the first time. Guys, we're going to start this episode in 2 minutes. So if you're coming into this one live, feel free to get down to the comments. Let us know you're here. This is going to be cool. We're gonna have a chat to this bloke about his journey so far. What's he got going on for the weekend, my friend? Anything good?
Me, after this, hit the gym,
Of course
morning
you are.
gym. I like doing a Saturday and I like doing a Sunday. So that's the end of my week and the beginning of my week.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I'll try and do three a week, and so I'll try and get Sunday in, and I'll try and do a Tuesday or Wednesday or a Wednesday Thursday, something like that. So
yeah. Good shout. Good shout. You know what? Like,
and then,
I think it. I think it's like my weekend sessions, if I can get them in, always feel better than a weekday session because like you've got it's almost like you're not thinking about work as much and not as many
right.
distractions. I'm sure you got the family at home and stuff, but yeah. But anyway, all right, guys. Well, look, good morning to the people that are watching this one on live. Hello, Carls. How are you? And Nikki, friend, out hand in hand, walking with Warren Todd. Absolutely beautiful. Carly says, epic transformation, Shaun. Can't wait to hear about your story. Yeah, absolutely. So good.
Thank you.
So if you do watch this one on replay, guys, please hashtag replay and let us know that you've been in here and got the value. And let's get started. If anyone wants to ask Shaun any questions during the course of this podcast, then certainly do so. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of those dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs and you are ready to change your life. And speaking about life changing, I'm joined by this very good looking 49
Close.
year old bloke. Closing in on a century, Mr. Shaun Douras. He's one of our very, very, very valued, successful clients inside Better Body Academy. And good morning, mate. How's things?
Morning. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Whereabouts in Queensland are you specifically based?
I'm down at a place called Wood Hill, which is between Jimboomba and Bow Desert. So
Right.
southeast Queensland, on the other side of the hinterland, the Gold Coast hinterland. So
Yeah, nice, nice. I've
yeah,
never asked you
no
before.
timber. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, nice, nice. Beautiful part of the
yeah,
world, actually. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If I could, listen, I'm going to tell you this privately, so don't tell my missus, but if I can wrangle her to move back to the Sunshine Coast, I'll do that in a heartbeat. Hopefully she doesn't listen to the podcast and I'm
No.
going to weed my plans around. Good morning to everyone. I hope you're having a great start to the weekend. We brought Shaun on the podcast because this bloke is, not only is he one of the most humble fellas you'd ever meet, but he's a man who's followed the plan, got incredible results, and I think it's a really great illustration of what happens when you kind of get to that point where you just don't know where to turn. You're kind of lost in what you're doing. Maybe you've kind of gone knee deep in Google or YouTube with searches like how do I lose fat, how do I lose weight, diet plans, all that type of stuff. And then you finally put up your hand and say, I want help, and you get help, you invest in yourself, and it pays back in the way that it has for Shaun. So Shaun, let's go back to say 6 to 8 months ago. What was going on? Because your weight was starting to go up and you clicked over that 100 kilograms. How'd that feel?
Yeah, that felt very, I guess, disappointed because I've
Mm,
let myself go. Being younger, doing a lot of sports, swimming, and all that type of stuff, and then
mm,
you get married, you have a family, and then work gets in the way, and life just gets in the way of stuff, and you just let yourself go.
yeah,
And my thing was, oh, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. And 15, 20 years go by, and you realize, oh shit, I actually haven't done it. Like,
yeah, yeah.
and then you just get stuck in that rut.
But it's such
So,
a it's such a common story, right? And this isn't like
yeah,
I think the thing that's the worst for people when they're stuck is that it's the guilt and the shame you have of like I'm gonna start tomorrow, and you feel like you keep lying to yourself. And it's not that
yeah.
like there's not a person in the world that's not busy. For every bloke, like have you tell me about your family? Like what's the makeup? You got some demands on your time, right?
Yeah, so I've got two daughters. They're young adults, so
Right.
23 and 21. So they're all dependent off me. And
Yeah.
then, as I'm sort of mentioned previously, my wife and I are separated. So,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
still live in the same house. So we
Yeah.
basically we get along better as housemates than we were as husband and wife. So,
Do you know what? And you're the type of guy that could make that work because I think for anyone listening to this podcast, they'd be like, that must be hell. But you're just like such there's sometimes you just it's just not the right relationship, and we're not going to go into that now.
yeah,
But to be able to stay civil around it is like super respectful for both of you. The point is that you got overweight, it got out of control because you were trying to juggle a bunch of priorities, right? It wasn't because you wanted to get overweight. What was going on? Was it like work? Was it stress? Was it to do with the marriage? Like what happened?
no, I think I was just working stress and just be the provider to the family.
Yeah.
And I think the balls I was juggling weren't the priority balls. Like,
Mm,
instead of having my family first and then everything else, my family suffered. So they were the last ball that I was trying to juggle and ahead of everything else type of thing. So,
wow.
so
Takes a big
that's,
man.
and
Takes a big man to say that, dude.
yeah,
Do
that's,
you have any regrets around that?
I do, but looking back, I think that's actually grown me to where I am now.
Wow.
So, but yeah, big regrets was the less time I had with my daughters
Mm,
because I was so busy with other things that I neglected them, neglected the wife. So,
mm,
and that was part of the whole thing. It was just my priorities were way out of whack.
yeah.
I think I
How?
had so many masks on that I was trying to please other people instead of
Yeah.
just focusing on my important thing that I wanted the most in life. So.
When you say trying to please other people, what do you mean by that? That's interesting.
Uh, I think I put these masks on to please other people because it made me felt good about myself.
Mm,
Instead of making myself feel good about myself, did all these different masks and I get involved with certain things. Like I mentioned before, I was very into the church and that, so I'd spend most of my time doing that. But I had all these. I guess I was a yes man. If someone would do it, I said yes because it made me felt happy for that little second. But
mm.
the important things in life suffered for that. So I was
That's
selfish. I was selfish in the wrong way. Yeah, I was
God,
selfish in the wrong
that's
way.
so self-aware to say that, to be able to recognize that, did because that's something that I see particularly with a lot of women, particularly with a lot of mums, is that they kind of they just deal with themselves last, and it's not because they don't want to treat themselves. It's just like this. It's the motherly instinct coming out, and it also I see it in a couple of guys, particularly like who are kind people, like generally kind people. It's that I want to make other people's lives better, but in the process, I've lost myself. So,
Yeah.
did you come to that realization in hindsight, or did you know that at the time that you were doing it?
Just in hindsight,
Right.
I thought I was doing the right things and stuff until I sort of stepped out of that environment and realized, oh shit, actually, I've actually
Mm,
made a big mistake.
mm,
And moving forward, my biggest regret was with my younger daughter, and
mm.
we're actually repairing that relationship now. So.
Beautiful. So what was the catalyst for getting started? So did something happen? Can you remember a defining moment, or was it just the direction?
I think there's a lead up. I think going back on our DMs and Instagram, I think we actually reached out to each other in December the 8th, I
Yeah,
think, going backwards. But
yeah,
so last year, my wife and I decided to separate. Then a couple of months after that, my grandfather was very ill and he passed away in October. And then her brother passed away from a heart attack in November. So,
right.
so there's all those little life changing events that made me switch my light bulb on and say, hey, I really need to look after myself. And how do I do that to become the better person that I know that I am? But
Mm,
where's the steps and tools
mm,
to do that? And then I think I came across you on Instagram and just liking some of your posts. And then I think you sort of messaged me. I thought, oh, is this a scam or not? Let's just go with it. But yeah, I
yeah,
think when we actually spoke a bit longer in January, it was like, yep, no, let's do it. I think this is perfect for me after watching some of the testimonials and that type of
mm.
stuff. So yeah.
So every like for anyone that's watching this that's not in our academy, every single person goes through these phases. Okay. The first phase is that we've got to become problem aware. Okay. What this basically means is that most of us are carrying weight. We're building up fat. I mean, check this out. Like, you have lost, this is about 2.5 kilos of fat, right? You have lost about 7 of these off your body somewhere. Like, that's not squeezing your heart every day. But the reality
Yep.
is, when we're carrying all this fat, we're kind of like, part of us is like, if we're happy in other areas of our life, or we're busy in other areas, that we're just not actually aware of the problem, right? And so the first step is to become problem aware. And the challenge with this is that most people don't become problem aware until something happens to them or something happens to someone close to them. And
Yep.
it just like knocks their sphere off its axis. And they're just like, oh, fuck, like, Jesus Christ, now what about me? Uh,
Yep.
Once you become problem aware, you then become to a point where you go in search of solutions, right? You start to think, maybe I can solve this. And then eventually you might look at a couple of different options, and ours might be one. There might be 13 other different options there. And you want to build trust with the person to make sure. And this is the reason why we do these interviews to anyone watching or listening on replay. We do these because we know it's important for you to understand from both the client side of things how they have navigated their journey, but secondly, how we as coaches inside our academy, we're not in a rush. We need you to be able to see like the level to which we care and the process that we bring in to be able to help people transform. So let's talk about that. When you first got started, what was the things that helped you to get into momentum? What would you say? What helped you to start making change?
I think it was the plan. The plan was so simple to follow that that sort of captured me,
Mm,
because you think of traditional dieting and then you think of the mindset or the mental state of, hey, if I blew out one weekend, I've got to work extra hard. So you're putting yourself
mm.
under that pressure. Well, that's what I thought, and that's why I
Comes this like,
didn't do any dieting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then so your mental state's like, oh, I feel good about myself, I feel bad. And so you're beating yourself up inside because I'm the person that would do that. So that's why I didn't try other diets and stuff until I came across BBA and just went through and looked at your plan. This is so simple. The hardest thing through it all was up here.
mm.
Just thinking of changing that mindset, changing your paradigm around that state of thinking about dieting, exercising, looking after yourself.
And so when you talk about like, that's a great point. And so when you talk about the diet, so to speak, how did you move away from this being a diet to like, this is the way I eat and I'm allowed to? I remember one of our first chats, you were like 2 or 3 weeks in and you had a work party, I think it was, and it
It
was,
was a, it was a, it was a gin tasting
I
event.
knew it was the gin, but I thought it was to do with work. But it was a gin tasting event, and you're like, Jace, what do I do? Like, I'm in my first month. I've got this like unlimited gin tasting night. What do I do? And I was like, dude, you go and drink as much gin as you want, right? But just have a think about the things that you're putting with the gin. And it's not people.
Yeah.
People just think that the way to get the weight off is just to eliminate everything, and it's not. It's because that's not going to last, right? That gin
No.
night, what did you do? Like, talk us about. Did you get hungover or what?
I, no, I actually was quite good. Like I tasted the ones I wanted to taste, but I didn't go crazy because I knew that, hey, I can let go if I wanted to, but inside I was like, no, let's just taste what I need to do and enjoy with my cousin and my sister. So it was a really good night.
Yeah, that's good. That's a sometimes the knowing that I can do whatever I want, but I'm
Yeah,
choosing not to go overboard is all we need. And this is where a lot of
yeah,
people feel it doesn't work for them is when they're told they can't do this, they can't do that, 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 can't do that. And then there's this inner child in us that wants to fuck you, rebel against like, I'm doing it. Especially when we've had
yeah,
a crap day or a crap week, right? Yeah.
yeah.
So talk to us about your training. You've become confident in lifting weights and you're really consistent with
Yeah.
that. Was that always the case for you?
No, the first couple of weeks, let's go back. The first thing I had to overcome was the gym intimidation and then walking into the gym. So
Yeah.
I think it was 1 week into it. And then I said, no, I need to go. I went to the local gym, walked in the door, had a quick tour, said, okay, sign me up for 12 months now. If I don't pay now, 12 months, I won't commit myself. So that's the commitment I made. Same with yourself. And I said, yeah, let's do it. Once I've committed and see something, I'll go for it. So,
Wow. How
so
how did you feel the first time you walked in the gym? Was it and how long since
first,
you've been there? Like
so I've been there for about 23 weeks, 24 weeks. So 2 weeks after I sort of joined the program, so I'm up to 26 weeks now. So,
no, but how long since you'd actually
oh,
been in a gym?
I actually been in the gym once I was at TAFE, which was back in 1994.
So like 20 years basically.
So, so basically, it was coming into new equipment and just the feeling of intimidation from younger guys lifting way heavier weights, the females looking great but lifting bigger weights than me. I'm flat out struggling to lift a 20 kilo bar, but But it was. I think it was the first couple of weeks of getting over my mindset and
Yeah.
changing that to go. You know what? Everyone's doing their own journey at the gym. They're not looking at you, and that was the biggest fear of. Oh, they're coming looking at this guy coming overweight. What is he trying to prove to himself? But I actually had to remove all that shit and that
Yeah.
thinking,
Yeah.
and just go. You know what? I'm actually here for me, and this is my battle and my journey. So I don't care what other people think about me. So
I know Nick Friend is watching that and is going to be so inspired by that comment because he would have been exactly the same. It's just this like you go in as natural, like you get intimidated, right?
yeah,
But I can tell you from someone who's been training since I was like 10 years old, frequently in the gym, I never ever think negatively about someone just like going in there working hard and dropping their ego and just trying lift. What I think is when I see someone who is just like but clearly doesn't know what they're doing, trying to lift weights 17 times more than they should and not asking for help. And I'm like, fuck, this guy's going to injure himself. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't embarrass. I want to go over and help. But he doesn't look like he's the sort of person that's receptive to help. It's like, that's a hard thing. When you go in like, and Carly said, what a humble legend. Yeah, that's exactly right. When you go in with the, I'm here to, yeah, you're never going to make an enemy in a gym and no one's ever going to judge you. In fact, from a perspective of like being really honest, I think it's one of the most growth environments you can ever be in. You got people in
yeah.
there that are spending their time working on themselves. It's not the majority of the world. So, yeah, well done.
No. I think there was one time there when I went to try and do some bench presses and I actually overdid it one day and I actually had to ask for assistance. It was only like 30 kilos, so it was
To
a bit
get it back off your
embarrassing, but
chest.
yeah, I couldn't get it. And, and what the funny thing was is that because I didn't rest long enough, and it wasn't until Trav mentioned, "Hey, Shaun, it's a compression exercise, so you need to rest your body, 2 to 3 minutes, not like 10 seconds in between. So don't be the hero." So that was a bit humbling to me. Go, just take your time because I felt pressured because other people wanted the bench.
Yeah, yeah.
But now I know that, hey, you wait until I finish my set. So yeah, it was a bit of a embarrassing, humble type
I love that.
situation. So it was good.
So nice. And let's fast forward like 3 or 4 months in. Have you had any major challenges on the way to your weight loss? Like, yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. So I had things with my knees. I was, trying to do the 10,000 steps, and I really got really in mental state of, hey, I want to run back again. So I think I just over did it too early, where my knees were a little bit out of it, and then my ankles played up as well, which that sort of stopped me doing my 10,000 steps. But I see them as, people see them as obstacles, and it could change your mindset about continuing. But I saw them as learnings because I needed to learn my mental state about these obstacles.
Mm, mm,
Hence why I can still continue eating following the nutrition plan and just training. So, 2 out of 3 is pretty better than 0 out of 3 type thing if I had that same old mindset of, say, 22 weeks ago or something. So,
And
so
if
little obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you got to get away from that idea that if I'm not perfect, I'm failing. It's just like this. I say this all the time. There's no marriage that's perfect. There's no relationship that's perfect. There's no job that's perfect. Career that's perfect. I'm not perfect in my coaching. It's just like, and why do we expect that of our fitness journey? It's kind of like if we're not perfect, we're shit, and we might as well quit.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't happen in the real world, you know.
No, and I think the one thing I really liked about the academy as well is that perfection shit. And once I realized that after the first couple of weeks and realized, for me to be great, just keep turning up. Doesn't matter if you're there for 5 minutes or you're doing one rep out of 2 sets or whatever, you're actually turning up, and that's what makes you feel great and feel great about yourself. And that basically boosts my confidence and my self-love within me as well. So
Oh, now you're hitting the mark. I love this. So, dude, fast forward to where we are now. So, like I said, about 16 kilos, 17 kilos down, 21 centimeters off the waist. Like, how are you? Like, don't put it on, right? How are you on it? Give us the honest difference it's made in your life. Like, how are you feeling?
I feel 100%, maybe even more than that within myself. So I'm actually previously, before I started, I had that really low confidence. I really hated myself.
Yeah.
That really no self-love, and that's probably what basically led me to lose, gain that weight type of thing and lose that momentum of being fit and healthy, because a lot of stuff was going through mentally, emotionally, and relationship-wise. So when I saw the psychologist, I was burnt out with all that.
So
So
you actually
basically,
went to the
that's when
psychologist to talk about
yeah,
that? Wow.
yeah.
Did
So
he or
he just
she
said, "You're."
actually talk about a like lifestyle intervention through exercise and nutrition? Or?
Um, he did say try a few things first, like tools. Like tools was, getting out in the sun, walking, that type of basic stuff. But you just go, oh yeah, I'll do it when I can, and that
Mm.
turns into 3 or 4 weeks because you go, I'll do it next day, and that's the whole rut you get
Dude,
stuck in.
it makes me super sad that the fix to people's depression is have a pill. Now,
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's not part of the solution. I'm not saying that at all. So to all of you that are going to get triggered by that, I'm not saying that at all. It's part of the solution potentially, but it's been shown that if you get yourself out into the sun, walking, lifting weights, there's a study that came out last couple of weeks that showed basically resistance training is the most efficient form of exercise base of curing or addressing anxiety and depression. The mechanisms of why don't quite understand. Could be to do with doing hard things, perceived improvements in physical appearance in the mirror, confidence, testosterone, could be a bunch of things. But it's been shown it's more effective than yoga, more effective than going for a run. And so I've got no doubt that that's part of the reason why you feel good. But part of it is that you've just stayed in the game long enough that you're you're not forcing, but you're allowing these mindset changes to gradually, marinate and manifest. And what I love is that you've turned up so frequently to coaching calls, huddles, in your squad, asking questions. You send updates to us before we even ask you for updates. And that's just like, oh, that's amazing. Carly said it's actually my main purpose for going to the gym, actually. And what she's talking about there is managing her own anxiety. So I love that. Dude, as we could have pulled this to a close, is there anything that you'd like to share about your experience, or something that you think that people who are struggling need to know that they can do or they can believe in? Have you got anything inspiring for us?
yeah. So I think starting this journey is only the start. So I think my biggest thing was taking the first step in either the transformation or anything mindset. It's just taking that first step. So I just want to encourage everyone, if you're on the fence or if you're um, don't know what to do, and if you think, oh, it costs too much, you can't afford not to invest in yourself. So I
Mm.
think it's just a good step is go to the unknown, get out of the your comfort zone. Take the step, because once you do that, everything falls into place. Like, the the program for BBA is so simple to follow. The hardest part is changing mindset or taking that first step. So that was my biggest thing, was getting that first step through the gym door. First step to say to you, yep, let's do it straight away. It's just
Dude,
take the risk. The rewards after that's going to be amazing.
it is. And
That's what
I'm
I
just
think.
going to tell you straight away, like, I, for one, understand the anxiety that comes with investing in yourself. Like, I believe in it so much, but even today, it took me 2 days to make a decision about a proposition of joining another coaching program. And literally, I had to almost like physically push myself to remember that this is for my benefit. We get so caught up in like the money is going into his or her bank account, and it's like, it's just fucking stupid. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create leverage over ourselves, right? If you could do it on your own, you would have done it already. That's the reality. If you could do it on your own, then you don't need us. You don't need a coach. Just go and do it on your own. The problem is going and do it on your own. I've got a bunch of things that I need to get done to improve our mission. If we're going to hit 1 million people transform, look, fuck, I've got a long way to go. And things need to quicken up. I can't get there on my own. And so it's either you keep pretending that you can and actually lying to yourself and wake up in 10 years and you haven't fulfilled anything that you wanted to do, like you had done, or you say, you know what, like, I'm going to take this by the balls and actually I'm going to create leverage on myself and get a return on this investment. I think that's where all of a sudden when you've put money at stake and you've got pain on the other side of that, if you waste your own money, that's where you create leverage. I think it's a great point that you raise, dude. We're having a retreat in September. Are you looking forward to coming down and joining?
I actually am. So I think, like I mentioned before, it's this is the beginning of my journey, and I think the retreat will actually be a part of it, where I'm going to be blown away, and I'll want to, and just meet you guys all face to face. But I'm excited and nervous because it's the unknown, but I need to do it.
Hey,
So
dude,
I'm looking forward to it.
I was chatting to Nick Friend just before this call, talking to him about the catering, and like the food is gonna be laid on. And she said to me, she said, do you want it to be all healthy? And I was like, it doesn't need to be all healthy. Let's just have a little bit of fun with it as well. And look, man, I've been so excited about this idea of doing it. And we're going to put our all to it and make sure we give you guys an A-class experience. So it's going to be very, very good, man. So I'm super pumped to freaking meet you, dude. Guys, I think that's it. Look, this guy is, like 21 watching this podcast, he doesn't know either of us from a bar of soap. That's cool. You brush over it and whatever. But if you just needed a little bit of inspiration, this bloke is now 49 years old, 48 when he started. He was 103 kilos at what height?
Still about 169, something like that.
So 5'7" or 8 or 9, not very much. Yeah, 5'10", something like that. Like, it was just not in a great position. Dude, I forgot to ask you, have you got some Indigenous background as well?
Yes.
I assume so. Which as a 48-year-old guy that's 20 kilos overweight, you know better than I do that, unfortunately, as much as it sucks, your risk factors of death is real bad. Indigenous people with heart disease. Sorry.
Yeah. So I was going to say, in October, I did do a health check where my cholesterol was high. I was on the cusp of being diabetic. So all that stuff. So doing this, joining the academy, and I did a checkup probably about 3 months into it. My cholesterol's dropped. My blood sugar level is perfect. Everything else just lined up. So,
really?
and that's what's the other thing too, is like our life expectancy is a little bit slimmer, and we're prone to a lot of other, I guess, diseases and stuff too. But once you look after yourself and invest in yourself, you're going to have that longevity. Like with my grandfather who passed away, who was Aboriginal, he was still deadlifting weights at 90 years old. So,
wow.
So for me to get to that, I need to change a few things too. So yeah.
Wow.
So I think it was 91, and he had a bit of a heart attack on the exercise bike and deadlifting, where he had to stop, and he passed away at 93. So to keep doing his
he was an
exercise,
Indigenous man, 100% Indigenous.
Yes.
At 93.
Yeah, he passed away. Yeah, 92,
I'm sorry,
93.
man. I'm sorry, but that's got to be a bloody record, like a record life expectancy.
I think so.
Like for like,
but just to,
yeah. Yeah, just to.
No, but for him just to keep exercising, like when I used to live with him, he would say, "Come on, I want you to be a bodybuilder. This is what the exercise." I'm like, "Man, this is too hard." Like,
What a
because he
legend.
loved his boxing, and he was a Golden Gloves up, in far north Queensland, and he just loved exercising and lifting weights and all that stuff. So it's good to know that when I found out he was still lifting weights at that age, at the 90s,
Yeah.
he was good.
Wow. Well, dude, you're only halfway then, mate. So this journey has
Yeah, I
only
know.
just started for you. We've got to make sure we keep you on track. Guys, I have really enjoyed this conversation. Like it's really nice. I hope we've got a couple of people saying good morning. Absolutely love that you shared your journey. Caroline says so inspirational. And so, man, I just wanted to say publicly, dude, I'm super proud. Like for me, like I get money out of coaching clearly, but at a certain point, if you're not emotionally invested in it, it gets really hard because you see people give up on themselves so easily and it's deflating, man. It's like, fuck, like it's just stay attached to the process. Just keep getting up. And if you just keep getting up like you have, eventually it's easier to stay on the process than it's not. Like it's almost like harder for you not to be healthy. Have you felt that yet?
Correct. Yeah, and I was thinking about it a couple of weeks ago as well. It's like you've given us the tools to improve our lives and transform our lives to the better, to a
Yep.
better man, to a better woman, and whatever. So you've given us the tools to build the foundation. So it's just sticking to that until you build a foundation. So for my journey, my foundation's not completed yet.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I've still got a long way before I build my house, my castle. So
Yeah.
because I've got to change up here a lot more,
Yeah.
and only can do that through following the program
Yeah.
and
Dude,
following the simple
I,
plan.
again, man, we're gonna finish it there. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, guys. Hopefully, this has been helpful and beneficial. Again, Mr. Shaun Douras, absolute legend. Super proud of you, brother. Thanks for coming on the pod.
Thank you.
Guys, this has been the Better
Thanks.
Body Academy podcast coming to you on a lovely Friday afternoon on this side of the world, Saturday morning, a bright Saturday morning in Australia, New Zealand, and that part of the world. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you in the next.